Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings, everyone. Beautiful day out. I don't know where you're at, but if the sun's shining where you are like it is here, wonderful day. Birds are singing, they're doing their thing. Breeze is blowing, and that sun is beaming. It's a nice day out. We praise the Father for his creation, all of his creations, the 6 days that he labored, setting aside a seventh day for us to rest and to reflect back on the week and all that was done. Glory to the King. Hallelujah. We're talking about men's peas. Get your mind out of the gutter. Some essential P words that is necessary for us men, as brothers, for ourselves, for our households, for our families. Let's hear about it. The first one is prayer. Let's go to Mark 11. Having a prayer life and being able to pray is important. Mark chapter 11, verse 24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Whatever we ask for in prayer, we need to believe that we receive it so that we can obtain it. This is important too, as we're having family and having even dealing within ourselves, is a lot of times we can ask for a prayer, but we don't truly believe it. It may be so big, or we don't see how it's going to happen. And so, yeah, we send up a prayer, but we don't really imagine that it's capable of being fulfilled. And as you're having a family, this is important too, because not only are they depending on you, but you're that rock. Whatever you ask for of your household, for yourself, or for the members inside that home, you've got to be able to believe that it's going to be done. You got to be able to believe that it's something that you will receive. Prayer is important. That's the first one. Let's go to James. James chapter 5, verse 16. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. So along with prayer is being able to pray for others. You know, this is something too, is a lot of us, we've been wicked. You know, we may have had some rebellious years where we were just uncooperative. We couldn't really be a working vessel to honor and respect our mother and father. And so when you're instilling these life lessons into them, you're trying to show a child the way they ought to go. and they just keep acting out. They keep, they're so fixated on what's contrary to the things you're teaching them. Being able to pray for them. Pray for one another so that you may be healed. Pray for them so that you could be healed. Because you may drain yourself. You may wear yourself out. I've done all I can do, right? I've showed them the way. I've disciplined. They're so fixated on rebellion. This is grieving. But when you pray for them, you're giving that over to the Father. Say, look, this is beyond my control. I've done what I can. I need you to intercede for me so that you can take some of this burden off my shoulders and that I could be healed. Luke 18. Prayer is very important. That's one of them. Let's go to the book of Luke. Luke chapter 18, verse 1. Now he was telling them a parable to show that at all times they ought to pray and not become discouraged. At all times we need to pray and not be discouraged. There's going to be those prayers, there's going to be those situations where it's like I was just saying, we've done all we can do. We showed them the way, we showed them scripture. We even disciplined and corrected. But yet it's not working out. These things that may be so difficult to overcome, we need to not be discouraged. And so continue to pray. At all times they ought to pray and not become discouraged. Let's go to Romans. This is the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 24. For in hope we have been saved, but hope that is seen is not hope. For who hopes for what he already sees? For in hope we have been saved, but hope that is seen is not hope. That's kind of like faith. Believing the things that we can't see. Believing that, even though we've done what we can, we're handing this matter over to the Father, the Most High, having hope that He's going to fulfill it. He's taken over. He's grabbed the reins as we hand it over to Him, and that He's in ultimate control, that He will take care and resolve this issue. But another thing too, along with prayer and how prayer is important. Let's see what John says. John chapter 17. John chapter 17, 9 and 10. I ask on their behalf. I do not ask on behalf of the world, but on the behalf of those whom you have given me, because they are yours. And in all things that are mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I have been glorified in them. Sometimes we need to ask for Hamashiach to pray for us. Ask Christ to pray on our behalf, because a lot of times we think we know what we need, when really our attention is diverted. Our attention isn't on what is the root of the issue. And that's something too, along with prayer, is asking Christ to pray on our behalf. Let's read that again. John chapter 17, 9 and 10. I ask on their behalf. I do not ask on behalf of the world, but on the behalf of those whom you have given me, because they are yours. And all things that are mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I have been glorified in them. That's prayer. Next is provide. Providing goes a lot more than, it goes farther than just that surface level. Providing goes beyond using your hands or having weapons, firearms, keeping a baseball bat by the bed. Providing I'm getting ahead of myself. Providing goes beyond just that surface level of making sure bills are paid, making sure there's food. Providing goes beyond the tangible of money, resources. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 9 and 7. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7. Each one must do just as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for Yah loves a cheerful giver. So this next point is providing. It's very important that we are able to provide. And not just provide, but do it cheerfully. You know, you see it so many times of like in movies or even in reality. A man, a father, husband, whatever, so busy working. He's providing bills, providing a home, vehicle, food, clothing, shelter, all these different things that are surface level. But is it really cheerfully done? Babies need new shoes. Oh, not again. I just got them. I just got them shoes. They already lost them. I just got them socks. Where'd they all go? All right, let's go get socks. Let's go find a new pair of shoes. No. Each one must do just as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion. For Yah loves a cheerful giver. This is important as men being able to provide and provide cheerfully, because with that comes a level of selflessness, dying to ourselves and putting others' needs before ours. First Timothy 5 and 8. First Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. an unbeliever. Yeah, we're called to provide, but especially to our own. Look, it's very useful that you give so much to others. You're caring for the person on the corner, making sure they're straight, they got food, maybe package together a hygiene pack, toothbrush, toothpaste, some toilet paper, all these different things. But he says, especially for those of his own household. What good is it? You're tending to everybody else, but you're not tending to what's right there in front of you. Your own household is suffering. And you're so fixated on a different area of providing. Ephesians. This is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Like I was saying, providing goes beyond the surface level. It goes beyond making sure there's food, clothing, and shelter. There's more that you need to be providing. There's more that you should provide. Provide them instruction, wisdom. Share with them life experiences that they can learn from and avoid so that they don't have to go through the same sufferings. Do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of Yahweh, of the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. We're going to get into it, but celebrating good behavior. You got plenty of energy to correct, plenty of energy to discipline, but where's the energy to lift them up when they do something right? Just accomplished a new thing. He, did the task that you asked and then did extra. And you say, okay, that's it. Like, where's the celebration of the good behavior? He even went the extra mile for you. All you say is, okay, like it's not pleasing, wasn't enough. Providing the spiritual, providing the emotional aspect is great. You can provide the physical, but this goes beyond the physical. Proverbs 22. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he grows older, he will not abandon it. There may be a time where they set it to the side, put it on the back burner. But at least you've at least told them. You've showed them the way. You at least placed it on their spirit and planted those seeds so that, hey, when they abandon it, Salaki, when they set it to the side, you've gotten the blood off your hands and that seed has been planted. If the Father confirms later down the road, that seed will flourish. That seed will sprout and they'll come back to it. They'll pick it back up. Okay, this life I'm living, it's not pleasing me. It's not beneficial for my walk, my growth. It's actually hindering me. It's causing more issues. That thing Dad was saying, that thing Pops was saying, and it was valid. and I was a fool to put it on the back burner, to set it to the side. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he grows older, he will not abandon it. Providing, there you have it. Celebrating good behavior rather than tearing down. Providing emotionally, spiritually. The next is protection. To be able to protect. So we have prayer, provide, protect. Yeah, it's great you got the firearms. It's great you got weapons. It's good that you know how to use your hands. You may even keep a baseball bat by the bed. But this goes beyond weaponry. This goes beyond defense. There's more to it than what's on the surface, more to it than the physical. Psalm 91. One who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will lodge in the shadow of the Almighty. One who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will lodge in the shadow of the Almighty. Along with protection, is you got to be dwelling in the shelter of the Most High. Train up your children, train up your family, get your members of the household to dwell in the shelter of the Most High. This is another way that you can provide, protect. That's what we're on, protecting, protection, and being able to war in the spirit for them. Protect them spiritually, guard them from the evils of this world, guard them from the influences that are going to be placed on them as they go out into the public. And another thing with protection, you don't have to have all those. It doesn't matter how many firearms you got. It doesn't matter what you can do with your hands. Here's another aspect: cutting the grass. You guys might say, oh, seriously? Really? Cutting the grass? What does that have to do with this? That's an area, that's an aspect of protection. Summertime gets warm. Don't sleep. Peace and blessings to you. Says layers. Yes, there's layers to this. There's layers to protection. It's not just about what you can do with your hands, not just about how many firearms or how trained you are in self-defense and defense. Cutting the grass is one of them. Summertime, it heats up. Snakes are coming out. Get that grass cut. Get the grass cut. If you got babies or children that are gonna play out in the yard, get the grass cut low so that they can see where they're stepping, where they're walking. This is a level, this is a layer of protection. Here's another thing too. Okay, you guys want to go in the back pasture. Wear your shoes. Put your shoes on. Take a stick with you. Look, beware. Beware. There are snakes this time of year. Be careful, you know. Maybe carry a walking stick with you. Something you can smack a snake with, you know. Wearing shoes, you know, there might be nails, there might be glass you can cut your foot on. There's so many layers to this protection. Let's go to Colossians 3. Colossians chapter 3, verse 13. Another layer of protection. Colossians chapter 3, verse 13. Bearing with one another and forgiving each other. Whoever has a complaint against anyone, just as the Lord forgave you, you must do also. This is protection as well. Forgiving. Teaching your children to forgive, and not only teaching your children about forgiveness, because that can save them something on the schoolyard or as they're out in public, because you're going to come across people who got evil intentions, who just, they walking demons, and they may want to exercise those spirits that are rising within them. But forgiveness is a layer of protection as well, because you could be walking, a car of 5 dudes pull up. They start throwing stuff, they may throw your drink at you, cussing you, doing all these different things. But if you can forgive them, just, hey, come on, let's keep walking. Don't mind them. If it's just you and your lady, by you forgiving them, that can really save her. That can really save yourself, because if you were to, you're outnumbered. You and your woman, and then 5 people in a vehicle, your chances are slim. Forgiveness can save you a hospital trip. Forgiveness can save you somebody else's life. Look, it's not worth the time. Don't pay them no mind. Let's keep it walking. We're going to keep it pushing. Let them do their thing. Proverbs 14. We're talking about protection now. Proverbs 14 and 26. In the fear of the Lord, there is strong confidence, and his children will have refuge. Fear in Yahweh. In the fear of Yahweh, there is strong confidence, and his children will have refuge. By you fearing the Most High, by you fearing the Father, you're going to be mindful of the things that you do yourself. You're going to be mindful of the things that you bring into the home that may affect your children. This is a layer of protection. What you allow or don't allow in has an effect on the members of the house. Having a level of fear for the Most High, for the Father. Your children will have a refuge. They'll have a safe dwelling, because you're not allowing certain things in. They maybe even be able to sleep better at night, because you're not opening portals for them to be attacked demonically. Let's go to John. John 17 and 15. John chapter 17, verse 15. I'm not asking you to take them out of the world, but to keep them away from the evil one. This is going back to prayer. Praying that our children are kept from the evil one. Praying that as they venture off on their own, that you preserve them you protect them when I'm not there to be able to do it. Praying that the Father will give them conviction, give them discernment, give them wisdom and knowledge to move and operate as they go out into the world on their own, so that they don't be harmed unnecessary. Ephesians chapter 6. You guys know about the armor of God. Put on the whole armor. That's another area too. Being armored up, not just with your weapon, not just with your hands and your training skills, but being armored up in the spirit. We're going to talk about purpose. We got pray, provide, protect. Now we're talking about purpose. Ecclesiastes 12:13. The conclusion when everything has been heard is fear Yah and keep his commandments, because this applies to every person. Brothers, man, have a purpose, have a vision, have a mission on where it is you're going. Have a purpose of what it is you're here to do. Have a purpose, something that they can model after, something that they can be a part of. Have a purpose so that they can see you're driven, that you're not just going to sit around all day. Have a purpose so that they can see a righteous example of something to model after. The conclusion when everything has been heard is fear Yah and keep his commandments, because this applies to every person. That's a part of it. Fearing Yah, keeping his commandments, having something to stand on, having something that motivates you, something that gives you drive. Romans 12. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of Yah is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. Have a purpose. This is important. You know, the world is pushing one thing. The world is swaying for us to go a certain direction. The world wants us to be a part of them. The world wants us to follow after their ways, their customs and traditions. Their customs and traditions are detrimental. They may not lead you down a path of righteousness. Their customs and traditions, the way the world is wanting you to go, is going to have a different outcome on when it's time for you to go. Romans 12:2. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of Yah is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. Having a purpose, having something to set you on the narrow path, having something that's going to keep you in the parameters and guide your life in a positive direction. Let's go to chapter 8. We're still in Romans. This is Romans chapter 8, verse 29 and 30. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to become conformed to the image of his Son, so that he would be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And these whom he predestined, he also called. And these whom he called, he also justified. And these whom he justified, he also glorified. He has predestined those he called to be conformed to the image of his Son. Many are called, few are chosen. If you're called, go through with it. Let's go to Micah. Micah chapter 6, verse 8. We're talking about purpose now. Micah chapter 6, verse 8. He has told you, mortal one, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your Elohim. He's told us what is good. The word tells us. Everything's already written out. Ephesians 2. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. For we are his workmanship, created in Yeshua HaMashiach for good works, which Elohim prepared beforehand so that we would walk in them. We are his workmanship, created in Christ HaMashiach, created for good works. What is your purpose? Have a purpose. Have a vision on where you're going. Have a vision and a mission of what it is, the direction that you're having your household go. So we talked about prayer, provide, protect, purpose. The next one is play. Ecclesiastes 3. Last one is play. We're talking about play now. Being able to have balance. This is the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 and verse 4. There is an appointed time for everything, and there is a time for every matter under heaven. Verse 4, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. You don't want to be so caught up in going to work, providing, training so you can protect, being so focused on your purpose, being so focused on your goals and aspirations that you don't make any time to play. You don't make any time to spend with those of your household. Yeah, it's great you're providing. Yeah, you're being trained in protection. Yeah, you got a purpose you're chasing after. But you're going to burn yourself out. You're not going to be able to make time for free time. You're not going to be able to recharge, rejuvenate, recuperate, replenish your spirit. There's a time for everything. Yeah, you got your time to be able to work. You got the time. Go train. You've got time to go protect. Learn those skills. But make the time too to be able to enjoy the fruit of your labor. Make the time to be able to spend with those of your household, those you love, friends, family. We're going to the book of Sirach out of the Apocrypha, also known as Ecclesiasticus. This is Sirach 14, verse 11. My son, according to thy ability, do good to thyself, and give the Lord his due offering. According to your ability, do good to yourself. All right, yeah, I mean, bills are paid. Bills are paid. Vehicles maintained. Everything's caught up to date. You got a little bit left over. And be able to enjoy that. This is Sirach 14 and 11. My son, according to thy ability, do good to thyself. According to your ability, look, if your bills are paid, you got a little bit extra, enjoy that. So many times we get fixated on spending all this time praying, working, making sure we can provide, making sure things are taken care of, but yet we're not being able to take care of ourselves. We're doing so much for others, we burn ourselves out. We spend so much time working that, yeah, I mean, we attain all these riches. We attain, the material possessions are taken care of, but you're losing your soul. What profit is a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Yeah, you're providing, you're making good money, you're spending extra time working, but you're not able to enjoy it. You're not setting aside time to relax. My son, according to thy ability, do good to thyself, and give the Lord his due offering. Give Yahweh his due offering. Set aside that time for him. Set aside that time. Give him an offering. Verse 19. Every work rotteth and consumeth away, and the worker thereof shall go with all. Every work rotteth and consumeth away. The market is constantly fluctuating. Businesses come and go. Word of the sword, shalom. Shabbat shalom to you, Aki. Talking about the men's peace, not what a lot of people would think. Get your mind out of the gutter. We went over prayer, provide, protect, purpose. Now the last one is play. This is Sirach chapter 14, verse 19. Every work rotteth and consumeth away, and the worker thereof shall go with all. Look, the market's constantly fluctuating. Businesses are going to come and go. They open and close. Generations will work. Generations will pass. But like Sirach 14:11 said, my son, according to thy ability, do good to thyself, and give the Lord his due offering. Let's go to Sirach 11. Peace and blessings to you all. Thank you all for tuning in. We're almost through. We're on the last one. Play. This is Sirach chapter 11, verse 11. There is one that laboreth and taketh pains and maketh haste, and is so much the more behind. You've got to be able to set aside time to play, set aside time to be able to enjoy the fruit of your labors, being able to make time to visit with those of your household. All right, it's great you're providing. Yeah, you're spending time in prayer. You're protecting, you're learning different defense skills. Verse 11, there is one that laboreth and taketh pains and maketh haste and is so much more behind. You're working long hours. You're even putting in overtime, working into the night. But really, you're getting more behind. Spiritually, you're draining yourself. Your household is crumbling. You're not around to spend time with them. They're not getting the emotional provision, the spiritual providing. We're still in Sirach. Let's go to 38. Sirach chapter 38, verse 25. How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow, and that glorious in the goad, that driveth oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullets? How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow? Where are you going to be able to gain these life experiences if all you're doing is spending your time working? You're not going to be able to interact with any of people of your community so that you can gain wisdom on different life experiences. You spend all your time working, work all day, working into the night. Weekend comes, back to work. What wisdom can you gain from that? All you're learning is that task, that job. You're not expanding your knowledge by doing something else. 31 through 34. We're still in Sirach 38. 31 through 34. He fashioneth the clay with his arm, and boweth down his strength before his feet. He applieth himself to lead it over, and he is diligent to make clean the furnace. All these trust to their hands, and every one is wise in his work. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit high in the congregation. They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. Verse 34 says, but they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft. But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft. Like that verse, what profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? You can gain so much in the physical, you know, making good money, you're attaining the material possessions, your house is provided for, you got food, clothing, shelter, vehicles are up to maintenance. What value does that actually bring, though? First Chronicles. Let's go to First Chronicles. Chapter 15 and 29. This is First Chronicles chapter 15, verse 29. When the ark of the covenant of Yahweh came to the city of David, Michal, the daughter of Saul, looked out of the window and saw King David dancing and celebrating, and she despised him in her heart. The daughter of Saul looked out of the window, saw King David dancing, praising, celebrating, and she despised him in her heart. Isn't that something relevant to this day? Society wants us to be enslaved by the 9 to 5. They want us to chase the rat race and build up Babylon. They want us going to that work, putting in overtime. They want us spending all our efforts building up their system. Later in the verse, 1 Chronicles 15:29 says, and she despised him in her heart. She didn't like that he was dancing and celebrating. This is kind of what the world wants us to do. They want us in that hamster wheel, in that same cycle, just not being able to enjoy the fruit of our labors, not being able to set aside time to play, relax, recharge our spirits. You're going to burn yourself out if you don't make time to find that balance. Your house may even crumble. Oh, that's all. That's all of it. All right. So we talked about prayer, provide, protect, purpose, play. Some essential piece as us men, us brothers, should take into consideration, whether it's for ourselves, whether it's for members of our household, our families. I pray this gives you some value, gives you some edification. May the Most High be with you. Happy Sabbath to you all. Shabbat Shalom. All glory, all honor, all praises go to the Most High Yah. Peace and blessings to you all. Thank you for tuning in and making it this far. Bless y'all.